and welcome back. I've got a little bit more progress to show you today. This is on the French Army for the 7 Years' War. I have another cavalry regiment finished, so I will quickly turn this around and show you what I've got finished. Here we have the Condé regiment, one of the French princes. These figures are Blue Moon, and I've just bought them recently, so not from the Lead Mountain. I've got a mix of Old Glory and Blue Moon in the army, and I'll show you at the end some direct comparisons between the two sets of figures. They've got pluses and minuses. In the meantime, this unit is now complete. It's quite interesting. The flag is blue on one side and yellow on the other. The main difference between the French cavalry regiments, and many of them had red collars and facings, but the main difference was in the saddlecloth and the holster housings. And this regiment has a sort of orangey buff with a red border and the coat of arms of Condé in the corner. I could have tried to put a little bit more detail on the coat of arms, but I thought that was probably a bit more than I could do. On the good side of things, this is better metal than the Old Glory. It doesn't bend so much, so the swords do tend to be straighter. There was a fair amount of clean-up to do though, but specifically on the horses. Between the legs, front and back, there was quite a lot of cleaning up that needed to take place, and had little worms of metal. Most horses had it on the bridles, both sides, and on the belt that goes underneath the belly of the horse. And one of them, which has got its leg up, standing. I've got a point here, I shall see if I can pick it out. This one, on the bent leg, there was an awful lot of clean-up that needed to be done. And on the figures, on the men, around the end of the carbine, needed to be looked at. When you've done that, the work, the figures are relatively clean and relatively easy to paint. I will have a word about colours actually at this point. Cronescarf talks about buff, and you come across buff quite a lot, but it can also be referred to as Isabella and as something called ventre de biche, which translated I think means belly of the deer or belly of the doe. The problem with buff is it's not really a colour, and it can be anything from a pinky beige through to a kind of yellow. And if you use the Vallejo paints, their buff is very much on the yellow end of the scale, which is what I've done here. The trumpeter I've done in Vallejo buff. It works fine, and I'm quite pleased with it. Now, I do have some issues with these Blue Moon figures, and I'll show you what I mean by comparing them to the Old Glory ones. So I'm just going to stop the camera now and I'll change the shot. Here we have the Old Glory figures and the Blue Moon figures. And just looking at the trumpeter's coat, you can see that the Old Glory has turnbacks, has some lace on the arms but nothing on the coat itself, whereas the Blue Moon, it's a full coat, no turnbacks. There is some lace modelled on it, and there's a bit of lace modelled on the cuff which isn't replicated in the Old Glory one. That's fine, and I think with trumpeters you've got a degree of leeway, so who's to say whether they had turnbacks or they didn't have turnbacks. Right, I'm just going to change it for a normal figure now to show you what they look like. These are two bases of troopers. So again, we have Old Glory and Blue Moon. And specifically, I'm looking here at the coats. On the Old Glory figures, you have a long tail with turnbacks. On the Blue Moon, the coat is a lot shorter. And on the other side, it's completely missing. Now, at this time, as far as I can tell, they were wearing very long coats. So that omission on the Blue Moon seems to be a bit significant to me. It's not going to stop me using them, and I've got another 2 units that I will paint up. And I think I've already got a couple of units in the army anyway. But it is a distraction. I look at it and think, I don't like that very much. I have thought about trying to add them with green stuff, but I'll have to think about that a bit more before I kind of venture on that route. Size-wise, you can see they're pretty good. I think I mentioned this before, the Blue Moon horses are bigger and a bit more animated than the Old Glory ones. And the men are a little bit smaller, although not noticeably so, I don't think. So I am quite happy to use them interchangeably within the army, although I don't think I'd use them together in one unit. The carbine on the Old Glory is a lot longer than it is on the Blue Moon. I don't have a particular problem with that, although if I was asked about it, forced to give an answer, I'd probably say I like the one on the Old Glory better. But nevertheless, it works fine on the Blue Moon casting. Anyway, so that's what I've added this week. I've got a couple more units of French cavalry that I will be painting up, and I'm still going forward with the 10mm 1809 project. That's going forward a little bit slower than it was at the moment, but we'll see how we get on for the next video. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this interesting. I'll put some stills up at the end of this video, and I'll see you all next time, I hope.